Hello, this is MARSHALgoldpack, and you're watching my audio log, part 15. So, it's pretty crazy at this time because I was 3 days away from messaging 100 members of the Exodus clan for total war, requesting and demanding absolute and total war for the raids, BTBs, flat wars, team tacticals, team objectives. We're gonna even MLGs. We're gonna leave nothing off the table. And I gotta admit, being a good leader, you gotta have some level of being tactful and calculative. And for this upcoming war, my best bet is that GOLDPACK was going to win the flat wars and the raids at best. And we were definitely going to lose the BTBs. And probably, I don't know, I couldn't say the MLG because at this point in time we probably had the best MLG chances we could get when versing MLG groups, because we had Cherubi and her hunky little boyfriend Mr. Cherubi, I believe his name was at the time. And they had their own MLG division where they could request anyone in GOLDPACK to join or anyone to leave it. So they had a lot of power because they were these people were literally the best players in GOLDPACK at that time. And it's a shame because since they got the division a few days ago, about a week ago, they didn't really get to battle anyone. We would have. I mean, I always had clans offering MLG me, and I'd always say no because we're pretty much a raid clan. But I wasn't really hunting clans in particular because, you know, major war of Exodus coming up. But I would say it had been about a 50-50. If it was a 2 against 2, it easily would have been. Actually, no, Cherubi and Mr. Cherubi probably would have won. If it was 4v4, then Exodus would stand a better chance of winning when you're talking about MLGs. If it was a 1v1, GOLDPACK would easily win. Oh my god, Mr. Cherubi, he's so good, it's frankly scary. Oh, Cherubi, how cute. Of course you'd have to go with the best gamer in the whole community to be all cute with, I love that. That reminds me, she was a part of DGA, she was a part of Exodus at one point, she was part of GOLDPACK. She's had so many secondary accounts and she would always be a part of different clans, but one of the funniest things that the members would say about Cherubi is that they'd like honor her the same way GOLDPACK members honored GOLDPACK Mama, but in a funnier fashion. They'll always be like, Cherubi is love, Cherubi is life. I'd always see that in the Geek chats just always. What is Cherubi here? And reply from the members will be Cherubi is love, Cherubi is life. uh, but yeah, I'd definitely say we would have lost our best lost game, like against Exodus, full out war. I was calculating that we would have lost the BTBs, and we probably would have lost the BTB sized team objective games. It's about a 50-50 with the MLGs, and a 50-50 with the team tacticals. And as for the space wars, flat wars, and the raids, I say GOLDPACK would have won. So all out, in a different, if one clan preferred raids more or something like that, then I would say GOLDPACK would have had a higher chance of winning. But when you look at what I was hoping to get out of them, I guess the war would have gone about 50-50. Technically like a draw, we both had losses and we both would have had wins. Oh, but Exodus, man, at that time, they're just so kick-ass. I mean, they're taking on, I don't know how they got Navcom to greed. I think they might have just annoyed them, and I don't know. I didn't really have a good spy in Exodus who was in the high enough ranks. Exodus was smart. That only allowed that smart and intelligent and high ranking members be in the personal close ring chats where they'd talk about setting up wars and crap. So my spy wasn't in that, so I couldn't really get good intel out of Exodus. I'm not sure how they did it, but they organised flat out war with Navcom, probably because they're the biggest insurrectionist clan in the whole community besides GOLDPACK. And they just wanted full out war because Exodus were just flat out targeting UNSC clans, but in particular the UNSC Spartans, because they saw Spartans as garbage, because the Exodus commandos would truly have to be the best special task force, a special division within a clan that has highly trained operatives. Exodus had the best operatives in the whole community. Their commandos were better than the S2s. You know what the commandos remind me of, actually? The original S2s when people started training S2s. Because back in the day, S2s had to be MLG, like, 1v1 me and beat me every time. Professional standard. Not to mention they're trained in every other aspect. But now these days it's like, nah, screw MLG. If you're an idiot who knows a lot, then you can be an S2, and there's just so much bullcrap. Like, these idiots are just drooling out of their mouths. It's like, I'm gonna train some S2s. Then they just shit out about a dozen S2s, and they go around shooting out more S2s, and the community's full of all these garbage fake S2s these days, and it was smart the way Exodus made that such a big priority to assassinate and flog and glove slap every S2 they came across. It really worked well for them. GOLDPACK was kind of saying, but we couldn't even be bothered with S2s because S2s wouldn't give us raids. But I guess I was wrong, because it certainly got Exodus some really good raids. Lucky them. Anyway, yeah, Jess, all I could think about was this war. I'm thinking, holy shit. I believe we could actually have this war nobly without, without the both of us slapping the hell out of the rules. Just duke it out in these massive wars that would, raids that would last more than a whole day. It's kind of like you'd be more worried about your Xbox getting red ring rather than running out of time. Because Exodus was diehard about raids as much as GOLDPACK. GOLDPACK was so diehard of raids. Oh my god, it just would have been so incredible to see. It would have been amazing. But in the middle of the I was so busy. I was on the Xbox every few couple of hours. I was either fixing and getting ready a map that I really wanted to use in the war. I was either training people, because I was what happened is, after this massive movement with the divisions, the S2 division was a little jumpy, still hanging around because they knew this XL was coming up. The St. Helios division was the biggest one in the whole clan. The St. Helios division was now just as big as main army. I think they had about 100 members. Because what can happen is that when you've got somewhere around 60 members, like loyal type of members, and you make a massive hassle about recruiting, because I was telling everyone to recruit people, and Mama was doing the same. We both wanted to win this war so hard out. So we were really strong on telling people to actually recruit, and because GOLDPACK had such a good atmosphere and people wanted to rank up, they were actually recruiting people. So you can't you got about 300 members, 100 of them are barely active, 100 of them are, somewhat active, and 100 of them come on, all the time, and are just always active. 100 plus 100, man, you get another 100, and GOLDPACK was just, that's what it was like. A couple of the really good members were recruiting their friends and showing them the messages of 16-player lobbies everywhere, and they're just so excited, and they're joining. They're kind of like the easy come, easy go members, but as long as the clan stayed good, they would stay. But GOLDPACK was quadrupling, and it was freaking crazy. But it wouldn't surprise me a bit if we easily got over 400 members for a period there, because there are so many members that were part of GOLDPACK that weren't in my rosters because someone else recruited them, and the jigaboob didn't even tell me. whether a new member joined. They're supposed to tell me so I could write down the gamer tag. Because normally I take a look at their files, friends list to see if they have any 99th Regiment members or spies or, you know, whatnot. Anyway, so the St. Helios division had about 100 members. Oh yeah, the S2 one had a dozen conscripts and about 2 fully trained Spartans. Because, you know, they had higher standards and so many people asking, but they refused to take them, so about a dozen members. The diplomatic division, led by Redmond Boyle, who is now the Fudge Daddy. It's GDI, Global Defense Initiative. I'm positive that was their name, I just remember now. And they had, surprisingly, it's like, I had a couple of them want to join me, but I refused. Yeah, they would have been, I have to get my logbooks, but if that'd have to be 50 to 40 members. I know they went above 50 because I checked their friends list and I couldn't see that many of them wearing the uniform. But they surprisingly had a good amount. I think because of GOLDPACK's high activity and with all the big ass messages we're sending out, because when I send an Xbox message, you'll have voice message, picture message, and I showed 2 of the other members how to do that and got them to do a couple. That atmosphere was just so intense that it attracted so many people. They had like 40 and their only concern was hosting meetings and defending GOLDPACK's honor in meetings and defending them in meetings. It was surprising how many members it was dragging in for a second there. It's probably because of the uniform. I think the only clan that got to wear grey, a lighter shade of the dark grey. What do they call that? The smoke color. I don't know. The emblem looked pretty cool too. As for the MLG squad, they wore blue. The inverted bear paw color, yeah, that was led by Troopy, Mr. Troopy. I think they only got like 2 or 3 apprentices in their group before shit hit the fan. As for the main army, they stuck with 100 members and like 100 or 200 inactive members that you'd barely see come online. They're just like gamer tags on a sheet. Since 2014, when we were having full out War of 99, they kind of like, they were the last year's inactive members, and they're still in the GOLDPACK uniform. Once every couple of months, I'll go through a total checkout, and someone who's not wearing a uniform, I'm like, get the fuck back in uniform and make your sales tag private. And I'd cross them out on the list. It was like pretty much a reset. I'd have to see them again to re-establish their game tag, which was so much work. It was annoying, but I like doing it because I hate being wrong. And I'd cross out so many people, and main division still had like nearly 300 members. As for the GOLDPACK Wolves, so what happened is that a couple of the high-ranking officers were monitoring main army, because main army, the way it worked is that they could pretty much monitor themselves, because they weren't, the thing is with main army, there weren't any super restrictions with the armors. There was a color uniform and just about it. You had to be well mannered, etc. There weren't that many restrictions. However, in St. Helios, they were traditional elites, and there were so many restrictions and rules to follow, which is why people would have to choose, like, severely sit down for a second while talking to one of the people from that division, and they were warned about the codes and regulations of that division before they joined. Same with GDI, especially the same with the Spartan 2s. And I decided to turn myself, I was still Supreme Leader, Mum's the Grand Leader, but I made myself the division leader of the GOLDPACK Wolves, because if we're going to have any chance with beating Exodus when they brought in their commandos, I need people of the equal, if not better, if I could make them. And GOLDPACK Wolves were virtually meant to be as good as the commandos. I only had that idea once many months ago. It was the same idea when Stephenson, the something Colonial Marines, God, I hate that stupid name, led by Stephenson, a pommy idiot. When I left him and I was going to crush him, that's what I did. I trained the SSCP, Strategic Sentinel Combat Program, And the idea was just to train them in every single art I knew about Halo to make them really good, and that was virtually it. Easy said and done. It was so much training, and that's what the GOLDPACK Wolves were. In the GOLDPACK Wolves, you had to 1v1 me or one of the wolves just to get in, and if your skill set was sufficient enough, it would allow you to become a GOLDPACK Wolf conscript, or you'd have to complete the GOLDPACK Wolves training program, which was the old school GOLDPACK BCT that was labelled hazardous because it was too hard to complete for an average member. Then I made it even harder, even bigger, even better, which took so much work, until I maxed out everything I could possibly do with it in Forge, and turned it into the GOLDPACK Wolves training program. The quickest a member could complete the thing was in about 30 minutes. 20, I think the world record is done by me or Spirit Eagle. Oh, those birds are crazy. The best record was done by me or Spirit Eagle, and that's like 28 minutes max. Like, just hard out, as quick as we could possibly finish it. The average member would take 2 hours to complete the whole training course. And to be a GOLDPACK Wolf, you had to finish that thing in an hour or less. And you had to master the GOLDPACK's mountain training map, which is like a regular mountains training map, but completely not, because it had these columns for bridges everywhere, and you had to climb and master every mountain that could possibly be considered a hill climb or a mountain, which was the average mountain training map has 12 mountains. This one had like 24. And you had to master a vehicle test where you had to know everything about the vehicles, all their weaknesses, just absolutely everything. And you had to complete the initial course to join GOLDPACK, the actual GOLDPACK boot camp. You had to finish that in 15 minutes or less. Every training map GOLDPACK had, unless that was St. Keely training map, every training map you had to complete in a time frame. That was, in my opinion, generous, because I could normally complete it in half that time. That was the idea. Can't make it too hard, but you gotta make it hard enough. So there was a lot of training to become a GOLDPACK Wolf conscript. Just the conscript. To be a proper Wolves, you gotta master all of it, including doing 1v1. I've only ever had made in like my whole life 4 GOLDPACK, no sorry, incorrect, 5 GOLDPACK Wolves, and there's been about 20 conscripts, no 30 conscripts I know of, because during the threat against Exodus I managed to get quite a few in once I knew that there was a course harder than the S2 course. The S2 course, GOLDPACK Wolves made the GOLDPACK S2s look like garbage. And GOLDPACK Arbiters were crap compared to GOLDPACK Wolves. Oh man, a fully trained GOLDPACK Wolf was just freaking great. You could tell them to climb any mountain, they would do it. They could tell you the weakness of every single vehicle, they would do it in a second. They perfected a crouch jump. They perfected the sprint jumps. They perfected all the jumps. And the spring jump. They could get anywhere. Like, they were like the old school S2s, the ones that were legitimately badass. However, I believe the Exodus Commandos have the conscripts and they have their fully trained. Fully trained commando was just as good as a fully trained wolf. The fully trained wolves would probably be better for raids and other things, and I think the skill set of the commandos might have been a little bit better with 1v1s, because I think they practice 1v1s more than what the GOLDPACK Wolves would have. However, the difference is GOLDPACK, we do not play with unlimited ammo in our raids. We play with limited, and with the rules we follow, it's a completely different world in a raid. Because with that, there's 2 main tactics with a raid. When you're doing a GOLDPACK raid, if you can capture the base off the enemy and defend it for a full hour without a single enemy breaching the interior of the base at all, you get a raid win. This is really hard to accomplish when it's 8v8. You gotta pummel them down a little bit. And the thing is that the defenders of the base, the longer they defend the base, they're rewarded. Because I might have like 10 snipers in an armory, and it looks like just like one of those average, gross, OP, disgusting bases made by every retard in the community. But it's not, because every single one of those snipers will spawn in every 3 minutes, and guess how many bullets they'll have? 4 per sniper. So you need to grab like every single one just to get a full sniper virtually. And most of my maps you couldn't get a full sniper at the very start, and you'd have to wait 3 minutes just to get a couple more shots. And it felt like a real sniper because you have to be very conscious with your ammo. So you can imagine that if you're defending the base for an hour and you didn't have to shoot a single bullet, you could have 4 of your members with a full sniper rifle. And it's a really good system to do it. But this is funny because there's 2 main tactics in a raid with GOLDPACK. When you're attacking a base, you've got 2 options. Head basher or stealthy. So the more you keep pummeling at the enemy's gates, the more shots have to fire if they're good weapons, otherwise you'll slip on by. So you're making sure that their ammo count doesn't rise and they get more power weapons with more ammo. Or you could play it stealthy, and when you're playing it stealthy, you've got active camouflage, you've got sprint, you've got just about any equipment you can choose, except jetpacks. It had to be, we had a different game mode. If it was a jetpack worthy raid map, then jetpacks were obviously activated and you could use them. And we only had a couple of bases that jetpacks were allowed. They're pretty insane. GOLDPACK bases were too easy to take over, so I had to take away the jetpack ability in a lot of bases. However, so you could be invisible, and if you were really good, like you're trained well with invisibility, you could sneak your way in at the gates or inside a base. Unless had a couple of entrances, which all GOLDPACK bases do. Not one GOLDPACK base has a single one-way entrance, unless it's a CQB map, which is close quarter combat, obviously. So, if you're going to play it stealthy, the plus side is that you won't be dying a lot, and you could possibly just sneak right past the enemy. The downside is, the longer you take, the more ammunition the defenders will get for their power weapons, which ultimately will make it harder to take over the base. So there's 2 main sets, and I told Mama became master of that. She was now used to the GOLDPACK system. She was great at it. She even hosted her own battles. She was winning her own battles. I mean, yeah, it was great. She was, I think that time, now she was a major general. And she was happy as crap. I mean, she was a human. She wouldn't be a St. Keely. But all her loyal members, including a lot of my own, were part of the GOLDPACK St. Keely's division, which was epic to see. And she was always hanging out with the GOLDPACK St. Keely division, but still in the main army uniform. It was really, yeah, GOLDPACK was just so epic at that time. But I trained my conscripts and my wolves flat out with this theory, so they understood how GOLDPACK raid works just as well as I did. So they knew what had to be done. If I had to give orders to make sure that the code of the GOLDPACK ways with raids could stay equal, then that's good. Because they knew that they couldn't sit around and do nothing. They have to either be attacking or going stealthy. You could do half-half. Yeah, I'm like losing track of the law now. So when it came down to 2 more days to announce full-out war with Exodus, and I felt like we were just about ready. We were just about ready. Our numbers substantially nearly doubled. We were huge, 16 player members. I was beginning to ignore my messages. I've always had GOLDPACK drama, and I still had drama when I was becoming a division leader for the Wolves. A lot of time when I was doing a conscript training session to see if I could get any more recruits, a lot of the members from the GDI, even some S2 members at rare times, and GOLDPACK St. Kelius would join my game and ask to do training. It was humans only, so St. Kelius would transform into a human for that game, obviously. I set up the game mode, so it had to be like that. So they just spawn in and they're like, can I train with you? I was like, sure thing, but I've got to warn you, this is wolf style, so you can't mess about. And you will be getting harassed if you're inappropriately doing the course. I made sure they understood that this was legitimate wolves training, not just a mess around training session. And they'd do it, and they say they would like to see if they could become a wolf. So once they pretty much signed the tick, I was like, okay, let's do it, and I tried to do it. And when I started screwing up, I'd be like, come on, and I'd be at their face, and I'd be like, you have no excuse. It's like, is your controller messing up? It was kind of like military boot camp style. Pretty hard, I guess if you want to call it hard. I'd make them do crash laps if they were really dumb. And most of the time, they'd all quit the game, except for the ones who originally joined the game with me to become a conscript. They wouldn't give up. They were, you know, my friends, they knew what they're in for. And I didn't realize that this was having a really negative impact, being a hard ass in my own training lobby with GOLDPACK members. I mean, they obviously didn't realize what GOLDPACK wolves were really meant to be, the most badass and most trained soldier in GOLDPACK. That doesn't come by sitting around and being lightweight. But it turns out all these members that were leaving the game were leaving the game and going straight back to Mama and complaining about it. And Mama had so many people to complain with because they didn't want to see her in GOLDPACK, and those wannabes were still coming and annoying her all the time. I can't feel sorry for her. She said she wouldn't give up at one point until I talked to a lot of them. I was pretty much like, hey, you people are worthless. Stop breathing, just fuck off kind of thing. Because seriously, they're making GOLDPACK Mama more depressed, and there's no need for that. I mean, honestly, if you can't win it your way, go and have a cry, but don't drag people with you. And boy, were they trying to drag her down with them. But what happened, something really shocking happened, because Mama requested me to join on GOLDPACK Eagle. The Arbiter GOLDPACK was there waiting for me as well. They wanted to talk about the incident with me harassing some of her division, the Arbiter of GOLDPACK's division members on my training session. And I was like, yeah, sure thing. And I just jumped in the Falcon, flew over, and I'm like, okay, let's host this meeting. And we all jumped into the meeting. I was like, hey, wait, what the fuck is that? Something really messed up just happened. It was Darkblade. Now, Darkblade was one of Mama's posses, one of her members. But he ended up pissing off because he couldn't handle GOLDPACK because, he was chicken shit. But it turned out he was a trained Arbiter, and a very close friend of Arbiter of Light, who was GOLDPACK Arbiter. And I get that, which is fair enough. He can hang out with us anytime he wants, even if I don't like him. I've got that kind of respect. However, what I did not like is seeing another person wearing the uniform of the GOLDPACK of Arbiter. There was only meant to be one person, unless he trained more Arbiters. And there's no way he could have joined the clan without me knowing. And so, what is this? What is this now? Tell me. Explain. And Arbiter GOLDPACK said, okay, take it easy. And he explained, he said that they're close allies, him and Arbiter. And to share their respect, when he was joining us, he was wearing our uniform. I said, no, that crap right there is unholy. He can't have our rank. He cannot be wearing our uniform if he's not a proper member of GOLDPACK. That sets a horrible example. Not to mention, not only is he wearing our uniform, he's wearing the Arbiter of GOLDPACK uniform, which is like, it's supposed to be as worthy and as righteous as like a MLG's emblem or a GOLDPACK proper Wolves member emblem. I mean, it was of the high level. There's no way someone else should be in that, and I'm very touched with that. And I said, okay. It's like, look, I don't want to get all upset because I've got too many other things to think about and focus on, but please never let me see that happen again. He's like, okay. He accepted that, and he seems very annoyed about that, but I mean, honestly, he's an Arbiter of GOLDPACK. He's supposed to respect the uniform, not spit on it by handing it out like it's cheap. But they were allies, and he frankly didn't care because he was a trained Arbiter by the Arbiter community that I wasn't fully aware of. The one that he was trained by. He thought it'd be okay that he wore the Arbiter of GOLDPACK uniform, not knowing he had no respect for GOLDPACK in general. and he's always been like that. Darkblade's an idiot. But what happened while I was in that meeting is suddenly I was attacked by Darkblade, and he was dribbling like there was no tomorrow. He was like, your time has come. And I'm like, what the fuck? Honestly, like, really? This is what I get when I'm joining a meeting. I'm like, someone please, while, you know, clicking my fingers into the mic, and he was kicked from the game. I'm like, honestly, I do not want to ever see that guy with GOLDPACK again. And they agreed to that, because what just happened was completely stupid, and that was the reason why I didn't want him in a uniform, because that person, Darkblade, was stupid in general. We talked about the meeting, and it didn't go so well. You see, I was explaining to them that I'm recruiting conscripts to turn them into members to be able to compete with the Exodus Commandos, the GOLDPACK Wolves. And a whole bunch of their members joined. I explained that how a bunch of people joined, said either they're going to sit around and watch, but if they want to participate, they're obliging by the same rules the conscripts go by. And they were heavy. They all agreed to it. They go to best shot. They're really crappy and bad, just like the conscripts that were training as well. That's the whole point of training. They got all baby face. I mean, if the obstacles they're training on had teeth, it'd be biting them. It was sad. They could not get through it. And they gave up and went off and had a sook, obviously. And they were sooking to the St. Helios general. And it was working its way back to me. And they're pretty upset about it. I'm like, look, they should not join. You know me, we've done so many training sessions. Why am I even having this conversation with a few people? It's like, this is GOLDPACK Wolves. It's completely different. The map itself is labelled as GOLDPACK Wolves. It's the same way as we respect your traditions as GOLDPACK St. Helios. The same way the Wolves tradition should be respected. They shouldn't compete if they can't hack it. That's the whole point. They agreed to what I said then, but I could tell that their body language was pretty upset. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. Fucking man up a little bit, like we're about to have full out war of Exodus. That's what I was thinking anyway. And the very next day, hosting a training lobby on the Gauntlet, a ginormous tower made by a community dude who I adopted into the clan like many clans have. It's a parkour tower, just a huge parkour tower. I'm just training on that 16-player lobby, and one of the St. Healy high ranks joined the game in the elite uniform, which is dumb because the elites can't do the parkour. And as I'm watching the average main army members train on it, another St. Healy joined the game, and one of them glove slapped me as I'm looking up into the air. I thought it might have been some sort of attacker or spy. I immediately reacted, did a spin, jump, and assassinated him. I realized it was a member. St. Keely, so I started teabag. I've got problems. But probably wasn't a smart thing to do, but I thought, hey, what are you trying to do by assassinating me? Because I realized he tried to assassinate me, but I turned at the wrong angle and he only hit me, which allowed me to be able to jump and assassinate him back. And when it happened, they both left the game, which was really weird, and I thought, oh, fuck, I can be bothered. And I just kept on training. Many hours later, Mama, GOLDPACK Arbiter, they were all online. The time zone was fitted for it. And they requested to do a meeting. And I said, no, I'm training. Then you're going to have to wait a couple of hours, which they did. One of the people who got angry about Mama joining clan in the first place left. Bloody Warlord, he's an idiot. He came back and left, and then came back again into GOLDPACK. And this time he warned me, he said, look dude, I'm hearing from one of my friends in GOLDPACK that they're all planning to kill you and strike you out. And I said, mention that again, and you won't see yourself on my friends list anymore. I already warned people about how strict they are about even the word of mentioning a coup happening in GOLDPACK, because Mama and me trusted each other. Believe me, I had outright trust in Mama, because we were close. Mama and me, we were just flogging the community in every way possible. We were trashing UNSC clans that would claim wins over fake wins because their maps were too OP to start with. If we won them and trash like Oh Fairy Tale and a couple of other funny idiots, we would actually make a propaganda photo on their base where we'd pretty much be on top of each other and labeling the base like, this is Epcom base, belongs to Fairy Tale, and we're using it for the only thing it's good for. Which, and the picture described as fucking around. Then I'll get my spies and my members to message the people of that clan to take a look at their file shares, the GOLDPACK file shares, and they'd look, and the result was great. They'd get so upset. The banter was real. It's like, oh, you can't do that, that's not fair. It's funny, it's probably the only propaganda photos that GOLDPACK made that other clans were liking and tagging with hilarious stuff. Because we target people that most of the community hated, because obviously they hated for a reason. Because if you hosted a raid, they'd claim win just for some imaginary reason. But yeah, Mum and me were just laughing and chatting just about every day until the St. Killias division came along and the Exodus war threat was real. Then we stopped chatting. But while we're chatting, if you want to know the story, you're gonna have to watch GOLDPACK Mama Exposed. But long story short, that we got along really well, and I'm a hilarious and funny guy, and I'm persistent with being hilarious as I am with winning raids and clan battles. And if someone said something banterish or annoying or funny, whatever it is, I'd always strike back just in the name of good banter. And it got to this point where GOLDPACK was just huge. We're hosting a 16-player meeting, and I said something that sounded kind of sexual, and Mama replied with something that's even more worse into my comment after a member said something about it. I'm like, Mama, you can't say that while we're hosting a meeting, there's little ones. No, wait, no, sorry, I didn't say that. I just laughed it off, and I refused to say anything back. I said, oh, don't you worry. And people thought that was funny. We continued the meeting. After the meeting, I immediately got her to join a private chat. I was like, Mama, how dare you say something like that? We have young people in this clan every now and then, and you shouldn't be saying stuff like that. They'll get a bad idea. And she immediately was like, oh, you can't handle it. That's okay. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. I can handle anything. And it escalated from that point. And I already had no worry, suspicion that she would betray me because we were just too powerful together in GOLDPACK. So that was going to be great. But it got to a particular point where we're chatting along in a great manner that I thought, yeah, there's no way in the world this person would have any reason or thought on ever betraying GOLDPACK. Because even if she did, it wouldn't even make sense. I mean, you don't like have a best friend and suddenly just think, hey, I'm gonna make your life horrible now. I mean, it's weird. So yeah, I exiled so many members from GOLDPACK for having the suspicion that Mama was gonna betray me. Ones that were loyal to me but not loyal to her. Her members didn't really get the same punishment because she's too soft. She's soft on her members. She's not hard enough. But a horrible trend was beginning to start after those two elites tried to assassinate me. And I got a few of my loyal members. I even had 2 of my good spies say something about it. And I don't want to exile good spy. I mean, shit, they're good friend and good member. And I was pretty like, no, don't say anything. Just keep it between you and you. I don't hear about it. It's like, please. And they would respect that. But things went south so fast. I couldn't even get a hold of the situation because the next day I was planning to just outright war with Exodus. And the worst thing that could happen to GOLDPACK, and most unexpected thing in my point of view, happened. a huge and quite possibly be the biggest coup in history that the community has ever seen was about to happen. And I'm MARSHALgoldpack, and this is my audio log. If you want to see parts 16, then I'll see you there.